Hello students, in this lecture we will be discussing the contemporary period of Palestine, but before that we will still discuss a bit of the background that led to the emergence of Israel, and ultimately it led to the Israeli occupation of Palestine. As we discussed the decline of the Ottoman Empire, but before going further to the Palestine question, we need to examine the background of the Palestine question. From 1517, parts of the region known as Saudi Arabia, including Mecca and Medina, were annexed by the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Emperor accepted the title of the protector of the two sacred cities, Mecca and Medina. In 1876, Sultan Abdul Hamid included two articles in the constitution: the Sublime Porte Ottoman Sultanate, which possess the supreme Islamic Caliphate, will appertain to the eldest of the descendants of the house. The Sultan as Caliph is the protector of the Muslim religion. At the outbreak of the World War I, the last Ottoman Sultan Mehmed V reaffirmed that he was the Caliph of the Muslim world and the protector of Mecca and Medina. He aimed to promote unity in the Muslim world. Sultan Mehmed V may have used Islam as his last tool to generate the support from the Muslim world. Sultan Mehmed V was also concerned of the foreign occupation of the Ottoman Empire. On 30th October 1914, the Ottoman Empire entered the First World War. Britain was worried that Caliph Mehmed V would instigate the Muslims in the Indian subcontinent and elsewhere, that is, a war was against the Muslim world, that is, the British and the Allied powers have waged a war against the Muslim world, and it would generate sentiment and emotion in the Muslim world, and that would be counterproductive to the Allied powers. So Britain started working secretly against the Ottoman Empire. Sir Mark Sykes, British Middle East advisor and Secretary of State for Warlord Kitchener, they established an Arab bureau in Cairo in Egypt in 1916. This proved helpful for the British for their future diplomacy in the Middle East. British government decided to instigate a revolt against the Ottoman Empire. The British government found an Arab Muslim, Hussein bin Ali, who was also the Sharif or Emir of Mecca, suitable to hatch a plot against the Ottoman Empire. British warlord Kitchener in Egypt contacted Hussein bin Ali to revolt against the Ottomans. The deal between them was that after the war, Britain will help Hussein in establishing an independent caliphate under Hussein. Under this plot, Syria would go to France and Palestine would be given to Hussein under the proposed Arab Caliphate. From July 1915 to March 1916, 10 letters were exchanged between the British High Commissioner in Egypt, Sir Henry McMahon, and Hussein bin Ali. McMahon never mentioned that Palestine would be excluded from the proposed Arab Caliphate. McMahon sent arms and money, and Arab revolt commenced in June 1916. T.E. Lawrence of Arabia, played an important role in instigating this revolt. However, Hussein Sharif of Mecca could not benefit from this plot. When the Ottoman Empire was abolished in 1924, Sharif Hussein declared himself the new Caliph of Saudi Arabia. But when Ibn Saud attacked Hijaz, the present day Saudi Arabia, Hussein fled. Hussein did not receive any help from Britain. In 1932, Ibn Saud proclaimed the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and declared himself the king of his kingdom. During the First World War, there were other secret agreements. For example, the Sykes-Picot Agreement of 1916. In May 1916, Picot, the French diplomat, and the British Secretary of State, Sir Sykes, planned to divide West Asia between Britain and France. A Palestinian professor of history at Birzeit University in the West Bank observed Sykes-Picot was a carefully designed plan and prelude to the Balfour Declaration. The creation of Israel on Palestinian land would not have been possible without the Sykes-Picot Agreement. Through the Sykes-Picot Agreement in May 1916, after the World War I, the Syrian coast and the Lebanon would go to France. Britain will take some parts of the present day Iraq. After the World War I, at the San Remo Conference in 1920, Britain got the mandate for Iraq and Palestine and France for Syria. Then on 2nd November 1917, the British Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour, a Zionist, sent a letter to the leader of the Jewish community, Walter Rothschild, where he proposed that Palestine can be the home for the Jewish people. Britain facilitated the entry of Jews in Palestine. In 1939, British appointed committee recommended two states, one for the Jews and the other for the Arabs. The Jews resorted to terrorism to persuade the British to leave Palestine. On 22nd July 1946, the King David Hotel was blown up by a group led by Menahem Begin, later who became the Prime Minister of Israel. On the 15th May 1948, David Ben-Gurion proclaimed the State of Israel. This is a painting of my son, Sakhawat Kabir, and this was his assignment, an artwork when he was in grade 12 in grammar school in Brisbane in Australia. And so the theme was social justice, and this caption says sense of homelessness, the deforestation, and the tiger's loss of home. So when the tiger's place is all is destroyed by the government, and when they face deforestation, the tigers, they lose their homeland, their space, and that's why we can see the very sad eyes and expression of the Royal Bengal tiger. And this is in the same theme, the Palestine Question, sense of homelessness. It is again the art of my son, Sakhawat Kabir, and it was his school assignment in year 12. And this was again the same theme of a sense of homelessness. And in the picture, you can see he's holding the Palestinian flag, and it is his picture he has drawn. We can see the buildings and all the places, the residential areas of the Palestinians destroyed by Israel. So this set of paintings, our son Sakhawat Kabir, he got award from the cultural minister of education in Queensland. So I just thought of adding it in the lecture, so it shows the real picture of Palestine in today's world. So there are slides. We have posted the slides, and you can go through the PowerPoint slides of the lecture, where I have discussed the discrepancy that exists in Palestine today. Say, for example, the people of Palestine have experienced ordeals such as the 1948 war, the 1967 war, the First Intifada in 1987, the Oslo peace process, the expansion of Israeli settlement, and the role of the United States government, Camp David summit, the Second Intifada of 2000, the separation barrier, and the Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, the numerous United Nations resolutions for Israel, yet the Palestinian question remains unresolved. There have been ongoing violence between the Palestinians and the Israelis. So in this slide, you can see the discrepancies the Palestinians facing, that is segregation, economic issues, political issues, and military occupation. So this is about the segregation, and mm, um, uh, these are the extract from my book, Young American Muslims: Dynamics of Identity, which was published by the Edinburgh University Press in the UK in 2014. And so, where I have a chapter on the Palestinian question. So this is the economic situation. In this slide, a documentary has revealed the economic situation, destitute condition of the Palestinians, and in this slide, it's a statistics of the politics in Palestine, and again, it is has been double standard. The Palestinians, when they win an election, and if it doesn't suit Israelis' purpose, and they would have some policies, or they would declare the election result null and void. Which is again, I have mentioned it in the book. So this is the discrepancy in the military, and Palestine is a victim of Israeli military occupation. This is again, we can see the disparity and the discrepancy between the Palestinians and Israelis. The Israelis, they have tanks. Palestinian, they didn't have any tanks. So these are the statistics. I have given it in my book. This is an interview from one of the participants of my research work. I did my research on and understanding the identity of young American Muslims. So some participants of Palestinian background also participated in my study. So this interviewee is saying, this participant has shared her experience when they went to Palestine. So she says that being Palestinian is not easy. So she visited Palestine in 1997 and shared her experience. The interviewee says, "My two sisters and I, we were the only people riding the bus after we left the airport, to go to Jerusalem. And my mother, because she was not a US citizen then, she had to go on a different bus. So for us, we felt it was very unfair. This is our mother." And so it was very difficult to explain to my younger sisters as well. So again, this is an obstacle and a challenge that we overcame at that time. But in retrospect, it just trying to think about what the people go through that life there. It's very tough. The hardships that they are going through day in and day out.